What's up, YouTube? It's your guy Zeus here, back again with another video for you guys. Today we're going to be talking about another Tales from a Midnight Worker. Today we're going to be talking about my previous week at work. If you guys have followed the channel at all, you know that I have not mentioned my career yet. This was done on purpose. I wanted to save this until I can get a good story to you guys. So the story I got for you guys today is what it's like to be a police officer in 2025. My crazy story today for you guys was how I had 3 drunk drivers all arrested in the same night in 10 hours. To start our story off, we're going to be talking about the first driver. Now, I wasn't on patrol or anything tonight for drunk drivers, but they found me, that's for sure. The first drunk driver of the week was a nice young lady who decided to call in and tell me that she had been in an accident. Me and another one of my fellow officers went over to go to her accident, and surprise, surprise, we couldn't find a second car. We found her pulled over on the side of this really big hill, at the middle of the hill, in fact, and she told us, I kid you not, that she had been roofied and she decided to drive. Now, if you think to yourself, I got roofied. You know, the first thing I would do is drive too, but come to find out, she wasn't really roofied. Obviously, she was tweaking. And we found her, just sitting there in her seat, right next to her meth pipe with her little fentanyl needle right next to her. Put her into our back seat and ask her, hey, can we go search the car or whatever? Come to find out, she had multiple crack pipes in the car that she was using for meth. A couple grams of meth here and there. And decided to tell us, hey, by the way, there's a gun in the car. This immediately, freaked me the freak out because I was looking for this gun in the car after I'd already searched the vehicle twice, and I could not find this gun. I was like, what the crap? There's a gun in this car. She said it's in the center console. I cannot find it. I am pulling apart this entire center console, trying my darndest to find this handgun. After about 15 minutes of searching, my 4th check, and getting another officer to check, I decided, maybe she's just tweaking again, and decide to ask her. I go up to the door, open it, in my cruiser. She goes, no, there was no gun in there, silly. And I immediately wiped all concern off my face, let out a sigh, and was like, all right, here we go. Time for her to go to jail. She decided to go get a blood sample done, and I went on my way. Went to go take all her drugs and drug stuff to our crime lab and sent that all off, and as soon as I get out of there, wouldn't you know, somebody calls me, or calls 911 from the Taco Bell parking lot, saying that somebody slumped over at the wheel, stuck in the drive-thru. I kid you not, I was like, a second drunk driver tonight would be insane. There's no way. So anyways, I run lights and sirens over there to go find her, and lo and behold, I find her right there at the kiosk to order, just slumped over with her car in drive, foot on the brake, and her kids in the car. Mind you, she had multiple kids in this car, all under the age of 2. None were seatbelted in. Only one had a car seat. I go talk to the witnesses / passerbys, and they're like, yeah, she's been like that for 20 minutes. I just about lost my mind when I heard this. I was freaking out that she had been sitting here, potentially dead, for 20 minutes in this car. She may have even had her kids dead in the car for 20 minutes. I had no idea. Mind you, this is like 2 in the morning, so it's dark. I can't see inside this car because it has tinted windows. Of course it does. So obviously I break out the window and have to remove her from the car, and she's still unconscious as we're removing her from the car. Like, she did not wake up at all. I go search the car, 5 wine bottles just sitting there in the passenger seat, or under the passenger seat next to the kid who's in the passenger seat. I freaked out when I saw this. The kids obviously got removed to the hospital while mom was unconscious, and Children's Services was contacted. But I started to write my report, everything, get her blood while she was unconscious, and decided that, 2 in one night, that'll be it for me for the night. I was finishing up with my paperwork, and around 5 a.m., as I'm on my way to deliver my final piece of paperwork for the night onto the hospital, lo and behold, I come across a third drunk driver. This one wasn't avoidable either. There was no way for me to just, let him go sleep because he was driving in front of me. I was just driving down the street when I saw a car stopped at a green light. You heard me right, stopped at a green light. Went behind it. I thought it was just somebody who had left their car running or a stolen car that was just dropped off somewhere. The reason why I thought this is the windows were down and it was in the middle of nowhere, dead at night at 5 a.m. So I just assumed somebody had left this car, just ditched it. I wait for the red light, go walk up to the car, and lo and behold, another driver slumped over at the wheel, in drive, foot on the brake. And as I'm approaching the car, he starts letting off the brake. The car is probably creeping at like 1 mile an hour, but I'm like, oh god, no, please do not go into this intersection, please. So obviously I sprint back to my cruiser, turn on my lights and sirens, flip around, put my nose of my vehicle up to this vehicle, and I have to climb into this guy's back seat, go put his gear shifter in park, take him out of the vehicle, and place him into the backseat of my cruiser because I have no idea what is going on at this point. Obviously, I assume he's drunk, but you never know. Lo and behold, he's drunk as crap, super drunk, just came from the club, and I decide, alright, well, I'm already here at 5, I get off in 2 hours, might as well start. He's the first person of the night to decide to do field sobriety testing, and I get him out of the car, get him into a nice well-lit area, flat ground, on concrete, and begin to start SFSTs. By the time we start the first test out of 3, I already know this guy is donezo. He is drunker than a skunk. For those who don't know, we get trained to look at people's eyes when they're drunk for field sobriety testing, and their eyes start to jiggle when people are drunk, because they lose motor function in their eyes. On this test, there's a total of 7 clues, and he had all 7. I was like, oh god, he's drunk as crap. We then start to go to the infamous walk and turn test. For those who don't know, this is the test where you imagine a straight line and try to walk on it. So I explained the instructions to this test to this guy like 5 times, because he's just not getting it. He is not getting it at all. He decides to start the test, and I tell him, hey, take 9 steps, keep your balance. He takes 10 steps, of course he does, and loses his balance on every single step. He gets halfway through, and he decides, what are the instructions again? As he looks at me, totally in a daze. I then repeat the instruction to him for like a 6th time, and he turns around, walks back to his starting position. When I told him to take 9 steps, he takes 10 again. At this point, this guy starts being like super fishy with me, super weird, and he starts saying that he passed all the tests. And I look at him dead in his eyes and I say, brother, there's no pass-fail on this test, but you freaking failed. For these tests, people either show signs of impairment or they don't, and he showed every sign. Every single one, he showed. Even then, he still continues on to the last test, which is our one-leg stand test. He decides that he is going to complete this test after failing the other 2. And for this test, we have people stand on one leg, look at a toe, raise that toe up off the ground, so you're standing on one leg with 1 foot out in the air, and count to 30. He then proceeds to count to 41 instead of 30, and it took him about a minute to count to 41 instead of 30. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm supposed to cut him off at 30, but sometimes, I just let him go, see how long they'll count for. And then he proceeds to tell me, I passed, right? I can go home. Brother, no. Brother, no. You did not pass. So I place him in handcuffs, take him off to jail, and tow his car, of course, as I've towed 2 other cars that night for drunk drivers. Write him his tickets, and take him on his way. Mind you, the first drunk driver has been to jail. The second one is still in the hospital unconscious. The third one is now in jail. I have 3 towed cars, 3 DUI reports, and a report for breaking this lady's window and removing all of her kids from the car. So obviously I'm supposed to get off of work at 7 a.m. because I work night shift, and around 9:30, 9, I finish all my paperwork and decide to go back to a trip to the hospital to go see if my drunk lady woke up. Lo and behold, she's awake at 9:30, finally, and she's been passed out for 7.5 hours and had just woken up. That's how drunk she was. She was so drunk, she was unconscious for 7.5 hours straight. The hospital staff could not wake her up. We could not wake her up. We, as in police and fire. Tell her license is suspended, give her her tickets, go on, and finally get home around 11 a.m. Mind you, I went into work at like 8 p.m. the previous day. That was a long day, brother. And that's why I hate drunk drivers. The only people who are worse than drunk drivers are drunk crashers. And they decide to go crash into everything. I have plenty of stories for those, but that shows you what it's like doing all these DUIs. If you guys want to hear some more stories, definitely leave me a comment down below. Give me a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. I'll be sure to see you guys in the next one.